Hello everybody, and Morad here, and welcome to the lecture number 7. So let's come back to our story. So in the caves there were some drawings, some symbols on the rocks and walls, and the goal of one society is, or the group of peoples is, to make sense of them and use them as a written language to communicate their thoughts and their daily life. So each person will create a perception of the context as we discussed in the previous lecture. And the context perception is nothing but the analogy of the attention or the single head attention. So once each one creates a perception of that context, so we have now the context created or the perception created by each person, we can now go a step further and communicate between people. So each one will create a perception, each person or each head if you want, and they need to communicate their perception. So here I will give an example. Think of the color red. So when you see the red color, there is some activity that is generated in your brain. So it is observed by your eyes, and an activity is generated in your brain. Then you create a perception of that red color. So when you close your eyes, you can think of that red color in your way with your perception. But to agree about the name of that color, or because the activity that will be generated in each head, in each person head, or in each brain is different from one another, we need to communicate to agree. So we need an agreement component or a group agreement about how to call that perception. So they need to communicate and create what we call a group agreement. So this is another analogy, if you want, to the multi-head attention. So the multi-head attention is nothing but a group perception. So therefore they use a concatenation of the representation of each head. So it's a little bit the same here. So each one will communicate the perception of the context, and they concatenate them to create one agreement context. So with that said, we have now an analogy of why we need a multi-head attention, or what I call person perception. We need multiple person perceptions and an agreement component, and this agreement component is a learning device also that will try to learn how to combine the perception from different persons in order to create a group representation or a group perception of that context, the real context. So this is why we need multiple head, as they call them in the original paper, multi-head attention, and the analogy here is multiple persons perception. And you can extend this idea and go beyond, and that's what we are going to do in the next lectures. But for the moment, there is a goal. So the goal is how to make sense of this context. So each person will perceive it, then they will communicate to try to give them a unified meaning, and that unified meaning will create a group presentation of this context. And from that we can go further, and we will discuss that in the next lecture. With that said, Morad here, and see you next time.